All right, friends. So tech stocks experienced a bit of a tiny little rebound after our Prime Minister Anwar mentioned just a few names. But of course, the names he mentioned are, a big part of the index component for tech stocks, namely Vitrox, Unisem, and Greatech. If you're interested in finding the next multi-bagger among small and hidden companies, then you need to check out our upcoming webinar happening on the 28th of October, 8:30 p.m. Links to sign up in the description or comments. So, but in general, especially since 2022-ish, there hasn't been a lot of interest, right, in the tech stocks. I mean, briefly in May, there was a bounce, but suddenly it kind of died down. So some mixed results.
Yes, correct. So some of them reported good results, some reported bad. But in general, these are their comments. From MeTech, they plainly just say that the second half of 2024 is going to be lower for profits. Vitrox, they are quite honest about their these
challenges.
the challenges
with China and how they are eating their lunch.
Yes, correct. And then Opstar, they say that there's some headwinds because there's increase in price sensitivity in some market. More cost for them. Inari in general is forex unfavorable. Cost of ringgit strengthening, right? For UWC is Intel, obviously
Pulling
because
out,
not pulling out, but they are facing some sort of like issues with in terms of their capex spending, and also I think they are facing some problem for Intel, and they wanted to divest their foundry business away from their consumer business also. So they've been doing a lot of things. And lastly is Gtronic, and they say that the lower sales is because of low volume loading from customers.
But let's be honest, the bigger challenge with Gtronic is the change in management.
Yeah. So why are we still facing a lot of weaknesses, right? Well, first we need to know where our tech guys are at. This is a table that is actually shared by Ministry of Investment, MITI, and you can see that we have a lot of presence in the back end, especially the assembly, packaging, and testing place. Some sort of a presence in manufacture of components, but we don't really have a lot of presence in design and R&D.
But the design we can see, it's growing. I think 10 years ago,
it wasn't. It's still low presence. But right now it's slightly, there's a few companies that is going up the chain. But about, I would say like 90% we are still around the back end side of things. So that's the reason why we don't really see a huge demand for us, because we are just doing the low end job.
Too busy to find stock ideas? Check out Fire Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description.
But the good thing is that we are moving up. I can see that some of the initiative by the government that they say we want to push these offset back-end players to do something more advanced, something more that can bump up their value chain. So they are pushing a lot of them to go to do IC design and some of the software. And that has been their key objective for budget 2025. Now, if you look at some of the forecasts, right, from WSTS, they did show that IC is going to grow about 13.7% for 2025. It's
one of the bigger ones, actually.
Logic and memory also is going to be growing a lot, 10% and 25%. So these are like positive signs, right? But why is our company still reporting weak results? Well, we shall see later on. So this is one of the key reasons. You can see that because our industry mainly serve the consumer electronics, automotive, actually just mainly these two only. And you can see that, number one, the shipment for smartphone actually dropped a lot as compared to 2021. So that means is that lesser sales in smartphone, resulting in lesser services that needs to be done by the OSAT players, AT and all these guys. So that's why we are seeing a weakening in demand. Cost of these consumer devices is not growing. And this is also justified by ASML. They also did mention that the demand recovery for automotive mobile PC market has been on a slow trend. And they also are seeing their own business is getting slower because they're getting hit by two major challenges. So number one, it is China. Actually, it's not to do with China, but it has to do with the US restriction. They don't want them to sell to China. I mean, China has been their
only they don't want to sell the high-tech stuff.
The
The
EUV
small,
machines.
the newer, the older ones is no problem.
Yes, correct. But China has been like placing a lot of orders from ASML. Probably because also they want to do their own ASML equivalent machines, right? So, they have been aggressively buying a lot of equipments, and the US saw this and they didn't want that. That's why they're restricting, and they actually projected that China's revenue contribution is going to be less than 20%. I think right now it's actually more than that.
Yep.
So that's number one. And number two, it is key customers like Samsung and so Intel, they are facing some of sort of like demand slowdown. That's why they are holding back on their capex spending. So both of these challenges are actually affecting the ASML's profit. Now, I saw just now mentioned South Korea's, right? So particular Samsung. And you can see the cooling memory chip prices actually has peaked out already. And usually once it peak, right, it'll start to drop because demand is still not there. And right now, there's more supplies than demand. So expect the prices for some of these memory chips to drop. But on the flip side, TSMC is still doing well.
Huge. Yeah,
doing very, very well. Yeah, and you can see that they're even projected to spend more capex, like double as compared to previous quarter. It's actually a lot of capex. Sales and profit is still growing. So TSMC's, I would say that their business model or their mode is still quite intact. That is basically the global scene. But if you look at regional, right now Vietnam is becoming a very formidable opponent for Malaysia.
Yep.
You can see that Meta is actually expanding their mixed reality headset into Vietnam, but we are not getting
And
it.
we know Malaysian companies who are actually going to Vietnam to recruit as well.
Yeah. And that is the very, very high tier value chain semiconductor chain.
That's right.
Yeah, and also they reported that the Vietnamese youth is excelling in this high tech industry, and Apple also wants to spend more in Vietnam. So Vietnam is obviously the key enemy for Malaysia, and right now we are kind of like falling behind them.
The gap is closing a lot.
Yeah, but we are still slightly ahead and we are catching up a little bit. Now, why I put this, right, the rising tide of advanced chip is because this is what the global players are actually emphasizing on, because the chips is just getting smaller and smaller from 5 nanometer to 2, 3, then 2, then it's going to be even smaller. Yeah, space constraint. So in order to actually service this type of nanometer, right, your packaging also needs to be even more advanced. It cannot be just like the traditional low-end kind of like base, which is why our government and most of our semiconductor players also did emphasize on advanced packaging. But to go into this advanced packaging industry, it's not an easy feat because you need to spend a lot of money in terms of capex. Your machines also need to be upgraded. And you also need the expertise. You need the talent to actually operate that machine. So there's two constraints over here already, capex and also labor. So all of these is actually posing a challenge for our local semiconductor because we are so used to the low end base. But we are going up the value chain, but it's still quite, I'll say it's still quite far sighted. Yeah, we're still not nowhere near yet. Now, the bright side is that obviously Malaysia government is spending a lot of money to improve our.
But is 1 billion enough? That's the question.
Yeah. So
I mean, you just look at like G-Tronic alone, they want to spend 50, 60 million already.
Yeah, 50 on a year.
Right? So that's just one small company.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, big relatively, but still.
Yep, exactly. So 1 billion, so exactly as you pointed out. So some of the companies also mentioned that this 1 billion is just a drop in the ocean only. It's not a lot of amount. And also they are trying to get more emphasis on what is the government going to do in terms of like training the talent, the TVET talent, and also how are they going to actually source this machine out. So yeah, there's still a lot of question mark and there's need more clarity from the government.
If you're interested in finding the next multi-bagger among small and hidden companies, then you need to check out our upcoming webinar happening on the 28th of October, 8:30 p.m. Links to sign up in the description or comments.
So a few takeaways. Max Pain, is it now the Max Pain? I will say that it's actually still not far from Max Pain. Even though they are reporting weakening in results. Partly also is because we have not really see a company that actually spend a lot of money in terms of advanced packaging. So far, we already see G-Tronic. They are committed to spend 50 to 60 million a year. But that is just under proposal. And whether they can get the talent to operate that also, that's also another question. So I believe Max Payne is still not here yet. This is just my
Could get
own
worse,
opinion. Yeah, it could get worse if they cannot like push up their value chain. But of course, you also need to see whether there is more demand for your consumer devices, PC, smartphones. I'm pretty sure there will be a cycle where all of a sudden smartphone and PC demand will increase. But yeah, so
Or a new device.
yeah, or new device.
Yeah, every 3 to 5 years there'll be something new that will be a catalyst, which is the next thing, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what's the next tech. That is something we need to look at.
So 2020, 2021 was the catalyst was the PC and smartphone because of lockdown, right? And everybody's going for the work from home kind of like regime. But right now, what is the next catalyst for tech stocks, right? Probably it's going to be headset or glasses, but our guys we are still doing the smartphones and also automotive and all other very, very old catalysts, which is in 2020 and 2021. There's no new catalyst for our local semiconductor players. Now, the last question you want maybe asking is, so can you buy now? Well, valuations right now is still quite expensive. It's still quite at a premium. It's also a premium for a reason because of scarcity. But other than that, the fundamentals, it is still going to be muted or maybe they'll be dropping.
Minimum recovery would be Q2 2025. I mean, talking to industry
correct
experts. Yeah.
So, but yeah, we still need to dependent on the demand for these consumer devices. Unless you are like companies like Frontcan who just ride on TSMC's booming business. So yeah, those front end semiconductor probably they will see a recovery much faster than the OSAT, ATE, and maybe even EMS players. So yeah, those are our takeaways for today's video. And make sure to check out Fire Pro. We're up 43% since August 2022 to September 2024. I think our CAGR is around like 21%, if I'm not mistaken. Just 2% more than the S&P 500.
Yeah.
And we also have another portfolio, which is Catalyst and Boring. So if you want more of a short-term opportunity trading,
Catalyst
portfolio
Boring will be more dividend based.
Yeah.
But of course, FirePro is there to really shortcut everything for you.
Yes.
Right? From building a portfolio, deciding what goes into your own portfolio, we help you with our write-ups that doesn't take more than 15 minutes to finish. And the price will be increasing by $40 at the end of October, which is almost 10%.
And we also have a few tech companies are actually inside the Fire Pro. Not only just Malaysia, there's also Chinese as well. So if you are interested to find out what are the names, make sure to check out Fire Pro and join our free training, which is coming soon on the 28th of October.
Yes.
I think by the time you see this video, it's going to be next Monday already. So make sure to join. It's going to be 8:30 p.m. on a Monday. The link, you can see it will be in the description and comments. And also, if you want to get a taste on Fire Pro, you want to see how we write our write-ups for each companies, you can check out in the free sample. So that's about it for today's video, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.